Listen, no, look, listen, guys. If you listen, shush. Listen, if you want to have a discussion, have a discussion. No, listen, don't go giggling off. Don't go giggling off. If you have a discussion, behave like a grown-up. Otherwise, I refuse to engage you. Okay? I'm not being rude to her. She was being rude to me.
No, but you
I'm
did
going to
something really stupid.
No, I'm willing to discuss with you. No, stop.
You're really stupid.
Well, go away.
Settle down.
Go away.
Don't be rude to her.
Yeah, but
You're the one who said
try to convince me. I'm waiting.
I'm waiting.
Shush.
Don't you do that. You bring that up. You're
Don't put it over your mouth at all. Stop exaggerating. And you, please.
Stop being rude to my sister.
Look, if you want to convince me, do you not?
Yes, I'm
do so.
No.
And women, those women there, they're actually disrespecting themselves and disrespecting women. They're driving them away from their femininity. Femininity has been lost. They don't want, they're aborting their own children. Do you know it's 1 in 5 children by elective abortion in the West is being terminated that would go to term on the mother's decision. They complain that there's something like 1 in, they claim 1 in, no, 3 women are fortnightly either killed or beaten up or whatever they want, domestic violence. The biggest domestic violence is abortion. They say, oh, my uterus is my God, and they've seen that they carry pictures of their uterus, they're weirdos. And yet they're the biggest killers of their own children. It works out to about 17,000 a week or something like that. That's a huge amount.
Content over everything!
Yes, it's a struggle.
So I think that's the point at which you have to say to yourself, all right, well, it is real. I just haven't seen it because no one's hitting me.
Yeah,
and
but
then
the tendency, I'll tell you, I guess, saying that's made me think a bit here. Saying that, the tendency is to mark up someone as having a privilege and then to actually pull them down in now the person's eyes. That's a danger. I'll give you an example of this. It's feminism. Yeah? Now what feminism does, no it does, and let me give you an example of that, is I was having a discussion with someone that identified themselves as feminists and saying how they were underprivileged and all this complete lies. And she said that her friend worked for, I said, as far as I'm concerned, I know of no way that a man is more privileged than a woman. None, under law.
Absolute nonsense.
Give me one.
Absolute
Give me one.
Yeah.
Wage gap, no such thing.
Okay. And
Hang on. No, do you want me to address that? Because you're talking, I can address that one. Because that's the first one they bring up, right? Now there was, and I don't carry evidence any more than you do, because I talk about all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Well, what I will do is talk about. I can give you references. That's what I do. It's up to you to look them up. Okay. Now. Today, if you look at statutes, the statutes never, in my experience, I'm looking at the law statutes, discriminate a man and a woman in the statutes, number one. Under the law, law does not discriminate against men and women.
What about reality?
Yeah, we could go into law.
So that's just maybe a written text and it should be a guide for people to follow, but the reality is the ground possibly different.
I'm going to address that.
Yeah, do you accept that it may be possibly different in reality?
I'm going to address that point. Now, there was a guy called Warren Farrell, and I think, have you heard of Christina Summers, an old feminist from the 60s, and Warren Farrell, who was also president of the National Organisation of Women, which is a very feminist group in America, for 3 years running, I think, or chairman or something. And he got fed up with this. He's an academic, so he decided to do some research. And you can see, you can look at this guy up on the internet. And he produced a book, The Myth of something or the other. And in that, it showed that with equality under the law, and we get on to cultural issues later.
Not cultural reality issues, but under the law.
Yeah, I'll go into that in a minute. Under the law, there is no difference. And any difference in income is due to choices, because people have choices, because there's equal opportunity, okay?
So does that mean it's as thin as air and a
no, wait, we get there. I welcome, I can see you going, and I want to know what you're thinking, but not at the moment. No, keep it there. No, keep it there.
Racism or systemic oppression is, right?
No, I'm going to address
people are not
I'm not going to talk about that. I may talk about it later, but we can't go whipping off onto all sorts of subjects. If you want me to address that, I'm going to address it. Okay?
The original point.
So it's through choice.
Wage gap only exists.
No, well, I can't get to my point because you keep interrupting. But that's why you get like this. All right? So, what he did statistically through his research, and of course you believe it or you don't believe it, is it sounds reasonable to me, is that. Sorry, shaking your head. You haven't heard what I'm going to say. Is that it's through choice. Women tend to not want dirty jobs, risky jobs. Generally, they prefer to work in offices. They generally.
How many women?
Wait. Put their children first.
All right,
So they generally do that, and so they're more prepared to take part-time work. And like that, which is quite, to me, is fine. If that's their choice, I don't see why they should be forced.
Can we hear a counter opinion from this gentleman? Maybe against
no, I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish what I'm talking about because you were next on the list, if you remember. Now, if you don't want me to address you, I'll go straight over here.
You could do. I think so. I think he's got a valid counter argument.
Oh, you want to? You don't want me to talk about the reality of that because that's very important.
The reality, but I think we go to brothers.
No, the reality. That isn't a reality.
Well, the reality in my, can I maybe state my reality or the way I see reality?
No, I'm talking about the reality. No.
I think
you've got reality and you've got non-reality. You can't have my reality.
Like 19%.
Is your reality more valid from his reality?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. So why is it we having a conversation?
And yours?
It's everyone's reality. No, I'm talking about their reality.
True.
Their reality is, surely, is that the out there, on average, women are actually earning less money. In other words, they're doing less work to gain the pay. But they're paid the
They're
same.
doing less work. They're getting less work.
If you get two people doing the same job, it is illegal in this country and in a lot of the West to actually pay one person less than the other.
I personally think employers feel they can get away with paying women less and also people from different backgrounds less. For example, we talk about the pay that black people receive or Asians may receive in the workplace. I think employers, pound for pound, no, it's an opinion. We perceive that to be the case because so many of us are being paid.
This is how racism, sexism breeds because then we term it in terminology of facts, and we say, oh, but statistically in the law it doesn't do that. Okay, fair enough, it doesn't do that in the law. But would you say that institutional racism is actually a thing?
No, I'm talking about pay. All right.
Okay, but I mean, with different forms of oppression, they all interlink.
No, I'm talking about pay. This is the pay. Get on to that. I'm talking about pay. Can I continue? So, in the workplace, if between Warren Fowle found out, and other people have done this to back it up, but don't believe me, is between the age of 25 and 35 or 40, for men and women that will never have children and never marry, they're about the same. In fact, during that, between 25, I think it's 35, 40, women are marginally more, believe it or not. But there's a good reason for that, because they're given privileges. Okay? Now, you laugh, but I will answer that one. Now, in the workplace, business is competitive, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, business is very competitive. And what's the biggest cost? What's the biggest cost of running? What's the biggest cost of running a business? What's the biggest cost of staffing? What's the biggest cost? Wait! What? No! Stop knowing me. The biggest cost of running a business is staffing.
Let me respond.
I need everyone's attention.
You said women don't like to do the dirty work. Women don't like to do the dirty work. Yeah? Women don't want to do the dirty work, right? So you're now saying women have the option to choose not to do that dirty work, right? So would you say bearing a child is dirty work?
No, I wouldn't say that.
So then do women get paid?
No, they have the option.
So they have the option of not having kids then?
Yeah, of course they do.
So you're saying back in society where women's jobs are just
childbearing. No.
But that still has an after effect.
I'm not
now.
talking back in society.
So you're now saying that now because now 2017 everybody's equal. Now we live in Karl Marx's utopia. We're all holding hands and singing, and women now can say, do you know what? We're just going to forget about thousands of years of oppression.
Yeah, because it's time to move on. It's time to move on.
It's time to move on. You need to say it's time to move on as a white male. You're not a female that has to think about going to get raped from a club.
Yeah, I know, but why?
Tell me I'm being silly. How am I being silly?
Yeah, you're being silly.
How many women do you see on the construction
Do anyone have any thoughts on this here?
Pardon?
How many women do you see on construction?
Oh, so your basis of
No, don't tell him what
going to a building site.
No, I'm asking you a question. Can you reply?
And I'm asking you a question.
I'm asking you a question, so can you reply? How many women do you see?
Don't
I don't see.
Why is that? They have the right.
Oh no, but I just see women giving birth all around the country, nation, getting unpaid.
So you're being manipulative.
I'm not being manipulative. You're asking me a question that's silly about how many women are on construction.
That's called whataboutery.
The conversation is about women's pay. It's not about years ago. I really want you to take the most illogical thing I've ever heard. I want to give you this information. You think about it. It works both ways.
That you don't know.
We're talking about what's called the gender pay gap.
Within an age group, yeah. And you're saying women actually tend to perform better than men in that age.
It's not a common thing when women want to go into science.
On average, the income happens to be more for women. It's marginal.
It has to be taken more specifically.
It's marginal. It's not going to be the same, is it? What's the probability of it being exactly the same?
Women
it's marginal.
Way more likely to be overlooked for promotion and are way more likely to be because they're more likely to go out on maternity leave. They're more likely to have childcare needs and more likely to actually put their family
first. Of a person to business. Business is not a social justice mechanism.
And I don't think
one of the values of a person in business is contiguous employment. And when you leave to have 2 or 3 babies and you've had 18 months, 20 odd months out,
I know him very well.
if you are actually compared with someone that has had contiguous employment, then that is a bias in favour of you when really you've left the employment and the boss the business had to suffer for that. So I'm not saying you should be punished, I'm just giving you the reason. Anybody that doesn't give contiguous service for whatever reason, any reason, will actually be a lesser employability bet for someone. Eh?
I'm not going to debate it.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
When there is
that is the right thing to do.
I can't hear, sorry, you're a bit far away, I can't hear.
I think it's the right thing to do, or that it doesn't eventually massively disadvantage women. So, a couple of stats. 51% of people on the planet are women. The vast majority of agricultural work undertaken on the planet is done by women. Literacy rates, we're talking about now, literacy rates globally are lower for women, and women on average earn 20% less than men all over the world. So I think all these things are true.
Why don't we see work?
First of all, this country is connected to all those outcomes.
What do you mean? So now what you're saying is we're thinking of this country. So next time there's a foreign war abroad, so let's just use that same. Let's not get involved in foreign wars abroad. We're just talking about. But you won't have that. Do you know why? Because you want to export British imperialism across the world and your ideals of democracy.
To me, when you look at the big picture,
You're British sire.
Well, no, I'm not.
Here in this country, it's true.
Because I'm not.
Under the law.
Legally speaking, you're not allowed to behave like that, but systematically women are more
I have a British passport, but I don't consider myself British. I'm from London.
Okay.
Britain, I don't know what that place is.
Come close. Come on, let's get this under control now. I want to hear what you're saying, but when you start ranting on,
I wasn't ranting on.
Yeah, you're ranting on, guys. I know what ranting on is. I do it all the time. I'm an expert. I tell you.
No, but
come close. Now, come here. I want to answer your question. I really want to answer your question. Can you give me a break? Okay. Can you? I can't make you do anything. Can you move away? It's interfering, and I'll address you even though you won't hear it. Now, what this guy was saying was about the equal pay for women. Under law, in the West, and certainly here. Please, can I come closer? Otherwise, you can't contribute. It's very important you contribute. Otherwise, we won't. I don't. This is not bloody Woolworths. Oh, Jesus. Do you want to have a constructive discussion? Look, guys, never mind your social business, take it elsewhere. Look, what we were talking about, can you ask him to move away? He's making noise. Oh, you can only ask him, because, excuse me, chaps, excuse me, can you move away, because I can't get this lot under control. Right, what we're talking about is equal pay for women. And there's a general thought that women are paid less than men on average, which is true. They actually earn less, not paid less. Now, there is a belief that they actually pay less than men for doing the same job. And I reckon that might be true, but it's certainly against the law. But what they're missing out is, because of feminism that presents this view, is that there are many men that get paid less than women for doing the same job.
The gender wage gap was already disproved.
Many men.
It's already disproved by big.
Many men are paid less than men for doing the same job, and many women are paid less than women for the same job. But they don't talk about that one, do they? Because they only want to bias it only that way. Now, on average income, men earn more, and it's because they take more broad range of jobs. They take dirty jobs, risky jobs, long hours jobs, because men by instinct want to provide for the family. That's the way it works. It's an instinctual thing. Women, on the other hand, have every opportunity to go for a job and stand against a man in competition, as men do against men, and women against women in competition for a job. But they don't turn up for that. They want parity, is a word that's often used in jobs. Parity means pairing. If you had a woman for every man that's building the roads, you would never get roads built, or you get loads of people paid to do nothing.
Maternity leave as well. Women work less than men.
Maternity leave, for my opinion, business is not a social justice mechanism. What you need in a business, you've got employees that have got families, cars, mortgages, and it's competitive. Now what they this way, it's competitive. Yeah. So if you had anyone working for your business that couldn't give you contiguous service, they have less value to your business. People who are less value to the profits of a business, like it or not, get paid less. That's the way it is. As it happens, by law, if they're doing the same job, then they have to get paid the same. And there are issues with that, which I can get onto. So it makes it less desirable, because I wouldn't want to take on someone and put all me at risk and my employers at risk, because they may leave they might only work 9 months in the next 3 years. That's ridiculous. And women have the choice to have babies or not have babies. And I haven't heard anyone that has a decent argument against that, apart from that of the social welfare, which I'm empathetic with, but business is not a social justice mechanism. Unless you can change that, that's the way it is. They say, oh, men can have a maternity leave, but making it Me Too with men, that is a stupid thing. With, as I was saying earlier, firemen. I had an argument with a feminist, and she said women can be firefighters too. They changed the word, and I said, well, if I'm in a big building that's burning, I want a big bloke like this, probably Irish, you know, because over here, because of strong guys, they were digging out the canals for us. There were blokes, they were big Irish, not the small Irish. I want one of them coming up the ladder to sling me over his shoulder to save my life as he goes down. I don't want a 5'2" woman doing it, because she's weak. Anyway, this feminist said, no, they get the training. I've heard this said before. Women can be in the infantry force fighting for their country with the correct training. No, it takes strength and attitude, which men have. That's why men have fought wars and died in wars by the million for so many years. As far as I'm concerned, next war, all infantry force women, I'd welcome them going forward, but I tell you what, the enemy would be giggling. It would last probably about 3 minutes, is my guess, that particular battle. Right, so as soon as I'd finished this chat with this feminist, I went up to my computer and I looked up, and there it was only about 2 years before. It said, weaker men and women can now become firemen for equality reasons, for gender equality. In other words, we've got lesser service for it. And that's how the feminists work. They'll drag down, it will level downwards for what they claim is an equality. Absolutely ridiculous. And this is what's happening in the workplace. This is destroying us, and it's intended to do that. That's the idea, to undermine the mechanism by playing up to one group against another group. They invented patriarchy. That sounds awfully like a man, doesn't it? Yeah. So the women were traditionally at home. You know why? Because in Industrial Revolution times, big times of exploitation, they needed manual labour, strong men. well, the women couldn't get, they didn't have babies being brought up to work in their industry. So what they did, they gave a man's wage so that he could have a wife and a family, and they were guaranteed money. Later on, with the mills, they invented better mills, just like we do now with technology. They got smaller and smaller. Guess what? They didn't need the big strong men anymore. They needed children and women because they were smaller to work, to get their fingers in the machinery. Probably caught up as well. And then I look on the television just the other day, there was some BS going on there about women that had to go and work in the mills. You can't please them, can you? One minute they're not allowed to work, next minute they're forced to work, but don't account to the men. Oh no, the men go and skip to work because they thoroughly enjoy digging out miles of canal 24 hours a day, you know. But what happened later on it become less labour intensive, so it made sense for women to go into the market. Why? Because they pay tax. That's why you get more tax in. That's why communists always have women at work. You get more tax in. But women, of course, both parents should be focused on their families. But what happens nowadays? They're both brought up to be ultra feminist, male and female. They'll end up, they go to university, they get an A-level, which is worth nothing these days. They get a degree, and even that's worth nothing these days. But of course, they all want to be yuppie and very clever, so they go out there. Honestly, they're not worth the paper they're written on, half of them. And then they get themselves their higher degree, you know, their masters on 18-month, you know, whatever they're doing. And then they eventually get work, and they want to live together. They can't afford a house by themselves, so they both move into a house together. They can only just afford the mortgage because everyone's asking more for their houses, which of course the mortgagers are excited about because they lend more money. Now when they're in that house, they can only they can't afford a child, can they? Because everything's going out. When they have a child, it's the country that takes care of the child. They pay someone to mow their lawn, someone else to look after their child when they're underage, someone else to walk their dog, and someone else to repair their house because they're useless looking after their own kith and kin, because all they do is go and an accountant. And then when they go to work, my old man at the beginning of last century used to work 9 till 5, they have weekends off. Nowadays, if you knock off, you work, there are hours, like maximum hours. If you're not staying longer, free of charge, then you never go for promotion. And people say, I have such a stressful work, I work very late, I get back at 10, you know. People go, ooh, you know, they're in admiration of these fools. Because when you're working outside those times, are you covered personally? You're not officially in work, you know, it makes you wonder, what's the matter with you all? What counts is family. That's where the strength is. That's the people you can believe in. Not politicians. No one else. Family. If you're not looking after your family, you've got no one to turn to. There's no good applying for some kind of grant so you can be looked after in your old age. No one's going to love you like your family, and your family won't love you unless you love them. And you can't love them when you're giving them to the country to look afterwards by teachers that are trained in the system. They are government agents, same as your doctor. If they're a government agent, you're not allowed unless you're signed off by the, you know, all government agents. You know, they can only give you pills that they say you can have by nice National Institutes of Clinical Excellence. But no, your family is, and therefore, when the baby's born, the woman shouldn't be boasting about, I went back to work the next day because I'm like a man, really. The baby needs suckling. My body, my right. Look at My Body, My Right with women, where it's got now. They say about domestic violence, how many women are, it's either killed or beaten or something a week, three a fortnight. But when you look at the number of children that are actually abused, it's 4 a fortnight, it's more. You don't hear them talking about that. And when you look at the actual, you know, the amount of kids murdered by their mothers is more than their fathers. It's unbelievable. You don't know, one ever talks about that one, do they? It's just unbelievable. And do you know where the biggest domestic violence takes place? It's by women. It's not by 1 or 2 a fortnight. It's by something like 17,000, I think it was, a fortnight. I worked it out. And that's through abortion. That's not due to abortion because they were sick or something, or they was at risk. No, it's by elective abortion. In other words, they wanted to terminate a perfectly fit child. people. There's about 1 in 5 in the West, and by other figures, 1 in 4 children that would have been born are not being born. What's that saying about our population and therefore our culture? That's without the morning after pill. That's without all the means of contraception that women have. That's without the fact they can give their child away after birth for adoption if they wish. This is all considered legal, not moral. That's without in the 60s when they introduced the pill. There must have been a 60 cut. That's without the men fertility dropping twice and being normalised. Sperm counts tragically low. That's without people, the homosexual agenda. That's making people say, well, I can be any gender I like, and then they're actually getting kids like 10, 12 years old, put them on blockers so they don't go through puberty. That doesn't, it holds off parts of puberty, it makes them weirdos. Most of these people that are transgender, so I hear, something like 75% are they're suicidal, and they terminate themselves before 30. So they say, if this is true, it's got to be looked at. What's happening about our family? What's happening about our population? What's happening about our relationships with work, where people are more intent on arguing about how they're getting less pay when they're not? It's lies. It's lies, and it takes people like me to point it out, and you, all my massive audience today, to actually go and prove me wrong.
I don't like all that about, you know, they say the pay gap. I know, because how can that possibly exist in this country?
You could pay women, legally or illegally, less than men for doing the same job.
It's impossible.
No men would have a job, because as that woman admitted, the biggest cost to the industry is that of manpower, woman power, labour. If you could be 30% less, you'd be a clear up.
But to be honest, like more women now because they need to have equality in the workplace. So they're looking for women, like specifically. In this country, I don't know about other countries, but I know this country.
They've got what's it, the something Swan project. They're promoting women in STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering and maths. They don't want to do it. They're claiming that of course, there's nothing wrong in that, but they're promoting them. If you're promoting one person, you're not promoting men. Why? You should want scientists, technologists, engineers and mathematicians. You shouldn't want female ones or male ones.
You can't say there's an imbalance anymore.
They want more women into the same with men, because men protect the society from invaders. When invaders come in various forms, they don't necessarily come from another country, another different culture, another different culture. They come from up there. They come from people who want you to do as you're damn told. They want you to be, as the Huxley said, grateful for your enslavement. You look on what Huxley says on that. And they're elitist family. His grandfather was called Darwin's Bulldog. Look it up, it's quite interesting. Yeah? So you joined him. What hooked you to stay and not walk by?
I'm just trying to find out what we're talking about.
We're talking about
feminism, like
feminism and
about feminism.
There's a myth going around that women are paid less than men for doing the same job. Do you believe that? Why do you believe that?
No. Why do you believe it? Because they say it's a fact.
Excuse me, I do this a lot, alright? Come forward. No, come forward. Now tell me, in the camera, why you believe that. Because it's a fact. Okay, now I'll answer. No, it's not. Now ask me the same question. Why do you believe that?
My colleague who has the same job
He's doing the same job as you. Where are you from? Oh, you're from Denmark. I'm talking about here. I'm talking about here. Isn't it illegal in Denmark? You'll go to law then. You wash him up. No employer, and certainly in Denmark, but here, and they're worse, here, no employer in Denmark would ever be seen. They pay a woman more because it is suicide. Business suicide. That's lies. I challenge you for lying. She's lying.
Scandinavian countries are very progressive in terms of feminism. Yeah.
But was she telling the truth? How can they do that? She was in Denmark. All the Scandinavian countries, they're rather out of honour. They'd shoot themselves in the park. That's how ingrained it is. And she tells me that her colleagues paid more than her for doing the same job. I'll give you 2 examples where it's justified. This was pointed out but to me by an American. I'll employ who I want. End of story. Okay? Nothing to do with the law. If I'm running a Chinese restaurant, I want slim, gorgeous, good-looking, Chinese, ethnic-looking, you know, girls doing it. Why? Because I'll do bloody good business as a result of this. The one next door, when it's manned by a load of, I don't know, load of people that are not those, men, and they're big and they're fat and they're, you know, people won't go there. So I will want to discriminate in favour of race and of gender. Yeah, in that case. And that's one good case. There was another one. I can't think of it. It's gone. There's certainly two. Oh, I know the other one. The other one is, let's say I take on a business and I take on a salesman or salesperson. Yeah, for the whole of the UK. Yeah, and I pay them a competitive wage for that time. And that time is actually booming. Now, then 5 years down the line, business is not so good. Now, when business is not so good, you don't cut your sales force. You increase your sales force because you must sell stuff. So I take on another person, but the economy's down. I can't possibly afford to pay the same as this person. Yeah. So there has to be a justification in that. If that person says, "Oh yeah, I'm aware that you're paying me less, and I'm aware of the reasons, but I need a job, and I'm happy and I consent to that," why should the law be involved? Because by doing that, that other person has a job, the employees can still send their kids to school, and this guy who built it up can actually also have a job. But no, it becomes that person cannot be employed, the business goes down, all the employees go in the dole. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Prejudice and discrimination takes place every day, quite justifiably, because it's usually not prejudice against, but prejudging in favour, and discrimination in favour. When you go for an interview, you walk into an interview box, that person's job is prejudice and discrimination. They have to interview you, they have to work out in their mind whether they think you're better than the next person. They prejudge against them and in favour of you if you're a lucky person, and they have to make some kind of discrimination against who they take on, one way or the other. Discrimination and prejudice is normal, but it's been hijacked. All your normal instincts have been hijacked. The ideologies, the way you work, the way you perceive the world, the way you interpret the world, it's been hijacked. Through education, they'll push ideas into your mind about equality, about feminism, about females getting paid less, about them being victims perpetually. All this is pushed in, and it's called ideology. Feminism is an ideology, and it's a bad one, and it's destroying us. I can't argue, I don't argue it because you go somewhere else. But whether that's irrelevant, it's currently, that's why I never get pulled out on what happened yesterday, what's happened millions of years ago, what happens in Timbuktu. I'm talking about here, now. This is our environment. And it can be controlled, and it's small enough to control. But I hope we can get to one day. The thing is, it's up to each individual to make the changes. And I'm doing my bit here. And if people go out and speak to others and rationalise this, talk about it. You never know, I might have my mind changed. I hope I do for the better, one way or the other. If I've got a fault, I need to know about it. You know, I don't want it, there's no point in me arguing in favour of my bad points. Yeah, and that takes a bit of skill. It's not an easy thing to do, and I think everyone should learn to do this. That's why I like people to interact as best they can. So, look, there's no good looking at this guy. You can't understand what he's saying, but you can understand what I'm saying. But I'm not talking about religion. That's the good news for you. Well, I was just talking in terms about, we're talking generally, but it got onto the subject of pay. And some people, for some reason, thought that women were paid less than men for doing the same job. Sorry? It's true.
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because if I look at the job my mom has, and a male, well, one of her co-workers is in the same position, he gets paid more and she gets paid
Is that in the States? Yeah.
No, it's here.
It's here, but it's illegal here, isn't it?
I guess so.
Oh, no, it is illegal. But if she is getting paid less in that job, and I'm sure that does occur with a man in the same job, yeah, then it might also be, therefore, likely that there'll be a woman getting paid less than a woman for doing the same job, and a man getting paid less than a woman for doing the same job. Yeah, all these things. But it's funny that, because the feminists say that women get paid less than men for doing the same job, but it's against the law. So those men and those women that feel that there's an injustice go to law. If someone steals something from your home, yeah, let's say more women get things stolen more than men. What do? Do you actually punish men for that in some way? No. Do you actually promote women more in that way for some reason? No, you don't. You just advise everyone to take care of their goods more. And in fact, it's illegal to take things, so both those people would go recourse to the law. And it's the same. The truth is that women in this country, it's against the rules. And for men, it's against the rules for a man to get paid less than another, one person to get paid less than another person for doing the same job. Yeah? But what the feminists say is that women earn less for doing. Hang on a minute. What they say, they take the statistic of earnings. So women actually earn less than men, not for doing the same job. They earn less than men, and they earn less than men because they actually don't do the risky jobs, the dirty jobs. They don't work the long hours. It is true.
Really long hours, 10 hours a day. She is usually the last one to leave the office, so is that not the dirty work?
Yeah, but not the last one to leave the building site, that's the point. Or to walk out the street.
She said you're wrong.
Yeah, hang on a minute, I'll get to you. I'll get to you. Come there, we have to speak. In front of the camera. That's it. Now, where are we? Yeah, because they're not... Okay, why do you think that? Sorry, say, speak up. It's been proven. That's why you're thinking.
Why do you think it's wrong? Why do you think it's wrong?
Well, because it's... why do I think that what I say?
Why do you think
what's wrong?
Why do you think feminism is wrong? Because
feminism is ridiculous. No, I'm not. Feminism promotes women above men.
You misunderstand the meaning of feminism.
Yeah, but look, listen. You can't say women get paid more because it's been proven. You can't. What does that mean? No. Yeah, but how has it been proven? Where has it been proven? I don't get paid more than any woman for the job I do.
I mean, on average? On average, men get paid more than women.
But there's no proof.
No, on average, men earn more than women. They're paid the same. Can you come out the front here? You can come out here. Yeah, but the sun's coming down here. If you go here, of course, that's gone in now. That's the power of me. The feminism they promote. Look, I'll give you an example. You go. Look, listen, guys. If you listen, shush. Listen, if you want to have a discussion, have a discussion. No, listen. Don't go giggling off. Don't go giggling off. If you have a discussion, behave like a grown-up. Otherwise, I refuse to engage you. Okay? I'm not being rude to her. She was being rude to me.
No, because you're doing something really stupid.
No, I'm willing to discuss with you. No, stop.
You're really stupid.
Well, go away.
Settle down.
Go away.
Don't be rude to her.
Yeah, but
you're the one who said
try to convince me. I'm waiting.
I'm waiting.
Shush.
Don't you do it.
Please. I didn't put it over your mouth at all. Stop exaggerating. And you, please. Look, if you want to convince me, do you not?
Yes, I
do so.
You just said something. You said power of men and control society. You just said.
I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
You said the power
She said,
of men.
no, I'll repeat to the... I might have said that, so maybe say it. So what did you say I said? I'll repeat it to the audience and they can judge on that.
You said the power of men. And then you're wrong.
How me? Did I say me or men? Are you going to hang this argument
I don't think
on
it's
that?
very important.
Wait, no. Shh. Are you going to hang? You're convincing me on that.
No, I wasn't convinced.
Well, can you stick to the point then and stop going off to some silly side? No, do it.
Yeah, I will.
I'm holding you accountable.
Saying men get paid. But why is feminism real if
Feminism isn't a political ideology.
Feminism is trying to make women the same as men, equal. We're not on the same level.
No, feminism is about equal.
Men are here, women are here.
I don't know. Do you really believe that? I think women have it great in this country.
Yes, yeah, women are great in this country.
Let me ask you, can I ask you a
But
question?
then there's sometimes women aren't respected the way they should be.
Have you heard of the word...
Not everybody's respected all the same as they should be all the time.
We're treated as if
I need to get control.
men.
Have you heard of Athena Swan? Athena Swan. Have you heard of the word STEM? Science, technology, engineering and maths. Are you aware that if you go to a university site and put /women, you're liable to get a website talking about the benefits to women have? Athena Swan is promoting women in education. STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering and maths. Women are being selectively promoted. They should promote everybody in those subjects, not just women. They're promoting women because feminism pushes it. How can you justify promoting women and not men in universities? So no, speak up so everyone can hear. Men are already... Speak up here. Speak to the camera, speak to the camera. Men are already what? Speak to the camera, they want to hear. Men are already what? How can you justify promoting men, science, technology, women? How are they already promoted?
They're men, that's why feminism is real.
Well, if men can promote themselves, why can't women? Are they subordinate?
They're putting down women.
How are they putting down women for turning up for an interview? No, I'm talking about science, technology, engineering and maths. How are men putting down women in science, technology and maths? They're turning up for interviews and they're getting jobs the same as women are turning up for interviews and getting jobs or positions. How can that work? Tell me, you're not convincing me.
Shouldn't everybody have an equal promotion because then everything will be equal? Otherwise, why do women need special help to be promoted? Women don't need special help. Everybody just be equal because then they're not equal.
But they're not equal. How can they be equal if they're not equal?
No, if women need special help, either they're better or they're not as good.
But if religion and everything,
And I'll get back down.
Who puts them down?
it's the Bible. Stuff like that. It's really
The Bible doesn't put down women. What are you talking about?
There's rules. So why do women wear headscarves? Why do they
No, that's completely different. That's religion. Religion is different.
Religion is real. It's all hocus pocus.
Yes, but that's
So they
okay.
believe-
Yeah, but that's we're talking about this country. We're not talking about.
It's getting interesting here, guys.
Yeah, but you're talking. She mentioned religion. She mentioned religion.
Sorry, speak to the camera. What have you got to say?
People are arguing against your point.
I don't know how that works out.
People are arguing against
You're not proving it. You're not giving me any evidence I'm wrong whatsoever. I've given you loads of evidence.
It's getting interesting because someone's arguing against your point. They're not listening to you. No one wants to listen to you. People like you I avoid.
Come on.
Excuse me, if you avoid me. Well, thank you for the contribution. You've contributed more to the men's movement.
You're boring me.
Yeah, success there then, Gav. Anyway, that was what you saw there was feminist. Notice there are there's got little brain as far as I'm concerned, but that's just my opinion.
We think there should be equality. For human.
True equality. True equality.
Yeah. Equality under the law.
Rubbish.
Yeah, because outside that, I mean, if I'm a bloke this big and I'm very weedy and I'm born disabled, I can't be a builder. And this is, and if you're a woman, and the average women are generally weaker and all this kind of stuff. If you've got a job at a building site and it requires you to be big and strong, a bloke will get it. Not because he's a bloke, because he's an animal that's big and strong. But a bloke will be there, and it just doesn't seem. It's just so disrespectful for women. And women, those women there, they're actually disrespecting themselves and disrespecting women. They're driving them away from their femininity. Femininity has been lost. They don't want. They're aborting their own children. Do you know it's 1 in 5 children by elective abortion in the West is being terminated that would go to term. on the mother's decision. They complain that there's something like three women are fortnightly either killed or beaten up or whatever they want, domestic violence. The biggest domestic violence is abortion. They say, oh, my uterus is my God, and they've seen that they carry pictures of their uterus, they're weirdos. And yet they're the biggest killers of their own children. It works out to about 17,000 a week or something like that. It's a huge amount. And then no one's listening to this. They're destroying their own family and their own futures. Unbelievable. In the guise of equality. I put my hand up so it's because the sun. I try to avoid this because I don't keep audiences when the sun is in their faces. But, you know, that's quite significant, isn't it? And what's happening is men are not taking up the role because they're being brought into this feminist BS that's around. And they're losing their masculinity.
No, but I think men are confused.
They are confused.
Yes, but they kind of lost track of that.
They're trying to do good, but they're on the wrong path.
The feminists say we can synthesise sperm, they're saying. I've seen this. They're saying we can synthesise, so men won't be required anymore. They see it only as their own. And men are thinking, oh, good, we can go and earn loads of money and go in fast cars and all this. That's why there's a men's movement. Have you heard of MGTOW, men going their own way? Because the way the government's working, bad women are so, and it's getting very popular to be a bad woman, are so toxic, men are saying no. What man here would take me knocking on the door and offer a financial deal? And the chances are, at best, you come out and break even. But the greater chance is that you'll actually lose your house, your family, your children, and you'll have to pay for it for the next 20 years. And you might lose your job as a result of this. And what's more, you might end up in jail, especially if she accuses you of rape, because you'll be presumed guilty until you can. I mean, is it worth being a man? Is it worth going anywhere near a woman? Because, I mean, it is. I tell you, it is worth it. But the point is, you don't know if she's a bad woman. Now, there's as many bad men as bad women around, trust me. But the bad men are not promoted. But the bad women are, which makes women a very bad bet. So they're just saying, I'm going my own way. I know loads of guys like that. I mean, some go with women too. They want this, get by. What they do, they say, well, I like a woman to clean up because they're good at it. So they pay a woman to clean their house. Women clean their house, they don't mind. Men would, I suppose, but they like women doing them. And if they want someone for some comfort, for sexual comfort, they pay a woman. And they say, well, it's great, because you know, it's dangerous though, because if you're paying her, she's not going to say good, she's not going to bite the hand that's feeding her and get a reputation accusing a man of rape when it's not. There was a guy just 2 years ago walking across Waterloo Station, and he brushed past a woman. I'm not quite sure if he even touched her. She accused him of kneeling down and putting 2 or 3 fingers up her vagina. This was on busy Waterloo Station. So she was well known. She is well known. I can't say her name, but I know she is. She was an actress, BBC. And nothing happened. He was suddenly arrested, bang, 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 bang on the door, whipped him away. He thought, well, I'll just play the game, you know, because they'll let me out because I haven't done anything. No, he was accused of rape. He was held, detained, effectively in prison for some time. I can't remember how long. I don't want to misrepresent him. But look him up. I can't remember his name. This guy there, anyway, the only reason and they use this word got off, because he didn't get off at anything. He was actually the victim. But he was proved, it seems in this country, when it comes to that, you're guilty for innocent. The CCTV, something went wrong with it. It was working, because that's the first time that's happened. And it took actually film, it was on film. And there's no way that could happen. And the reason it was pushed through is by the Crown Prosecution Service, that has an evil woman in charge that has been detailed and is delighted to promote in the court. You know the Crown Prosecution Service, they go to court to prosecute. To prioritise to raise the number of prosecutions for rape. Well, the only way you can do that is by finding people guilty when they're not. So the judge said this is ridiculous, which it is. But this guy was scared of facing years in prison. You can imagine that. He was identified in the paper, we know his name, where he lives, all this kind of stuff. Now the woman in this case, who actually was the criminal, and he is the victim, her name and identity is protected under victim protection. Now she is not the victim. She has destroyed a man's life, and she is being protected. And the chances are, if she hasn't, she could have done. She could have applied before trial. I'm assured. Check it out for victim support. They call it criminal injuries compensation scheme, up to £10,000 or £11,000 last time I looked, before it goes to court. I might be wrong on that, but I don't know of any woman in these cases when they've confessed, which often they do, after destroying a man's reputation, of actually having to pay that money back, or automatically be found of committing perjury, which they have 5 years in prison, up to 5 years, as far as I'm aware, or having to face a punishment for it, which, as far as I'm concerned, should be equal to a man's right, and probably then some. Because this is not acceptable. So men are saying no, women too dangerous. There are very good women around, so don't go chucking out a baby in the bathroom. I know some very, very sterling women, but you know, there's some very bad people around. But the bad men get put away, bad women get promotion. Sorry? Seemingly so. There's a reason. Maybe I think she was. I don't know. I'll have to interview her, but I don't know if anyone's interviewed her, because she's not going to go for interview, is she? Because you know who she is. I know who she is. You can find out if you want. Well, seemingly so. So check it out. I can give it. Find out the name of the guy. Phone him up, email him. It's that simple. You know, there's a big world here. It's easy to come. Just ask him. He's written a book. You'll find it. He'll tell you. I mean, it's worse than that. The actual film was doctored to make it look like he spent more time there. That's what he claims. He's probably right. I mean, I don't know, because I haven't studied the film. You know, but I believe him, and I might be wrong in my belief, but nevertheless. That's the way it is. I mean, divorce. All she has to do is sign something. I've had that. And then during that time, I'll tell you a story. She says, I'm made redundant. So they gave me a payoff, and they gave me what's it called, a pension. So I wrote to the CSA, because I had to pay for children I don't see for no reason. The more I don't see them, the more I pay. And the CSA said, oh, you don't have to pay. I said, I don't have to pay because I'm not earning now. And they said, that's no good, you've got to send me evidence. So I sent them the evidence, they sent it back. Right? 3 years down the line, she wrote to him and she said, I was actually paid more in redundancy than I claimed, and than I actually was, and more in what's it called, pension. Now the CSA already knew that, but they actually went through it and said, oh, she's now made this claim, signed something, and so therefore now we reassess, you have to pay more. I said, but you already know that that's not true, she's lying. And they said, no, that's what they went, and I said, I'm not paying it. If I pay it, what I've done is consented, and I don't consent. So they threatened me, and they informed me that they were going to take action and get the bailiff in on this. And so I went to the local police, and I said, listen, if the CSA wants to go to court to get an order, to get a bailiff in, then they would have committed perjury. Because the CSA know what I earn, and they know she's lying. And I said, will you protect me? And they said, no. They said, as long as they've got a piece of paper that's from the court. But I know that these pieces of paper often aren't from the court. I said, what does it look like then? And he said, he don't know. It's got a stamp from the judge. I said, I don't know what a stamp from the judge looks like. I don't know, it's not some other bloke turning up on the doorstep. That's so ridiculous.